Testing 1, 2. I hope everyone can hear me. We're going to give it another minute or so and we're going to get started. Well, hello everyone. My name is Steve White. First of all, thank you for joining today. This is my first Facebook Live event, so if we have a few technical issues or if I screw up, please forgive me. It's our first, but looking forward to it. So welcome again to Leadership Live with Steve White. And our objective, and my objective, is just to share my leadership insights. Most of you who have followed me on social media know that I work for Comcast and I've led employee teams as large as 30,000 and led large teams. So through that process, you've learned a lot about leadership. You've made a lot of mistakes. I certainly have. But along the way, you've had some successes, and I've certainly enjoyed some successes. And so my goal with the Leadership Live with Steve White is just to share some of those insights and really answer your questions. So we had several questions that were submitted, and I want to just start with the first one. How do I manage myself now that I'm virtual? I get that question all the time from teammates and men and women that I mentor and support, and it's even a challenge for me sometimes. But for me, the way I manage myself virtually is I ensure that I start each day with purpose. So each day I start off with the time for reflection, and that's early in the morning for me when I'm working out and I'm just have time to myself to really think about what I'm trying to accomplish, what I'm doing that day, what are my goals, where should I be focusing my attention. And notice the first question is not about how I manage my team. The first question always has to be about how you manage yourself. So reflection time is always important for me. Keeping my goals very close to me so I know what I'm trying to accomplish. And then virtually, I try to make sure I have a very detailed schedule. If you're like me, I have an 8-year-old son who wants, when he's not in school, he wants to come and play and hang out. My wife certainly will have a list of things for me to do. So what I try to do is build my schedule with great intention. I share it with my wife so she knows exactly what I'm doing and when I have available time to help or support her if needed. So reflection time, and then really having a very disciplined schedule for that day on what am I going to do, when am I going to take a break, when can I go grab lunch with my family or spend time with my son, so I can really focus on what I'm doing. Number 3 is I'm constantly keeping my goals in front of me and near me so I know that how I'm spending my time, I'm really, really focused. And another little trick that I've used, there are a number of time management devices out there, but I work with my assistant quite a bit, and we color code my calendar so I know exactly how I'm spending my time. So we can move forward. And then the final thing is I have a very detailed things to do list of what I'm trying to get done that day, and I check it off. So therefore I know I'm focusing on the right things. And then I constantly try to find ways to stay connected to my team, whether it's email, voicemail, pick up the phone and call them, or a quick check-in from a Teams call to make sure that I'm making sure that they're getting what they need. So those are just some of the tricks that I use to help me stay focused, stay committed to my process, although I'm virtually and I don't have all my teammates around. I'm sure you have your own way, but those are some of the things that really, really work for me. And hopefully those are some examples that might be able to help you. The second question was, how do I stand out in this new world when the competition is so fierce and you're virtual? But like everything, be you. That's the first piece of advice I would give you is be you. Be authentic. Don't try to be someone else. So whether it's in good times, bad times, difficult times, tough times, more competition, not a lot of competition, it really doesn't matter. Be you. Stay focused on your process and what you're doing to put points on the board. That's example number 1. Number 2 is trying to stand out. Always do it through your people and your teammates. And here's what I mean by that. Most promotions, most accolades that we receive comes as a result of someone else saying something about our ability and what we do. You can never talk about yourself enough to stand out and be noticed by your superiors. But if you pour your energy and efforts into developing your team, making sure that they're successful, partnering with your peers and asking them what their objectives are and how you can help them, and then share with them your objectives and what you're trying to get done, the more and more you can be that servant leader, supporting your team, supporting others, pouring into them, then those echoes around what you're doing will start to percolate up. And the folks that are making decisions around your career, they will hear that. And they will see and hear that from your teammates. And it starts to send a message that, wow, this person really is a teammate. They really are about helping the team get better. And those echoes, listen to me carefully, those echoes are what allows you to stand out and blossom for others to see. And so when you do that, that's how you make an impact. And then the final thing is, in this unique time that we're in, every business has unique challenges. Your job at your company is to focus and run to the biggest issues that your company is facing and share your thoughts and ideas through your teammates on how your company can address those issues. Let me give you an example. At Comcast, probably no surprise, customer experience has always been the challenge for the cable and telecom industry. We've made great strides, but we have more room to grow. When I was the president of the West Division, when the company launched NPS and a number of other initiatives, we in the West really jumped in feet first and really embraced that challenge and really focused our organization on trying to really figure out this puzzle called customer experience. And I'm happy to report we did a fantastic job in moving our NPS, which is the Net Promoter System, from a -15, where today it's a +15, just by really focusing our efforts and then helping the company find solutions to a very difficult issues. So the way you stand out during this unique time, particularly when you're virtual, be you. Drive all of your results through your team and your teammates, because that is what's going to create the echoes. And whether you individually or through your team, you run to the biggest issues and the biggest challenges as you move forward. The third question that came up, which is obviously on a lot of folks' mind, is we want to incorporate more DE&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion. But where do we start? And how, are we doing enough? And so what I always like to do, and this is a common theme that you will hear from me, is you always start with you first. Whatever you're trying to accomplish, you always start with you first. And I try to step back, particularly as I help the company lead its efforts around DE&I when I was the chair of our diversity, equity, and inclusion team or council that helped set the path for Comcast Cable on how we were going to attack DE&I. I always start with myself. I try to evaluate, where's my head? How am I thinking? What are some of my own unconscious biases that might be preventing our team to be the most diverse, the most inclusive? And I'll post this on my website, but there's an emotional intelligence little test that you can take. And I'll try to post this on my website or one of our social media platforms here. And it's a questionnaire where you can go through and measure your own emotional intelligence. And we know emotional intelligence is a major driver in how you perceive yourself, how others perceive you, how you come off, and are you creating a very inclusive environment. So everything starts with you first. Number two is you sit down with your team, your teammates, your peers. If you have a team working for you, you sit down and you start engaging your teammates on these conversations around DE&I. Don't worry about trying to have all the answers. You're not going to have all the answers. The most important thing is to begin the conversations, to create a space and an environment that sends a message to your team. It's safe. We can hang out, we can talk, and we can share about what's happening with us. Are we on the right track? Are we creating an inclusive environment? And if we're not, what might we do? And then before I go, let me go back to you a second, after you kind of take a look at your own mindset. And maybe you take this emotional intelligence quiz or test to kind of give you a sense for where you are. The third thing is just open your eyes. Look around the tables that you sit. Is it diverse? Not just ethnically diverse, not just gender diverse, but is it diverse in thoughts and perspectives and ideas? And you can know the answer to that. Then you go start sitting down with your team, listening to them, and outlining some ideas around how your organization and how your team can be more inclusive, more diverse, and providing more equity, for your teammates. And then after you do that, don't try to do too much. Pick one or two things. It might be from a recruiting standpoint that we're going to now do panel interviews. And we're going to ensure every interview has a panel of diverse perspectives to ensure that we are interviewing and attracting the best talent. But the most important thing is, whatever you pick, whatever you focus on, don't try to do too much. Really focus on what you're doing, and then focus on execution. When it comes to DE&I, the execution is actually more critical than the idea. See, because you can really do damage to your team, yourself, your organization if you proclaim that you're going to do all of these things, but in reality, you don't. And you execute very poorly. And that's going to actually set you back in the DE&I space. So hopefully that makes sense. And as you do that, your organization will start to recognize some of the unique things that you're doing. Sorry, there's the doorbell. I'm sure everybody runs into that. We're live, unfortunately, but hopefully we'll keep going here. But hopefully your organization will start to recognize those ideas, and they will see what you're doing. And now all of a sudden, not only have you impacted your team, you now are starting to impact the organization. So thank you for the questions, and thank you for joining Leadership Live with Steve White. Again, I'm Steve White. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll try to do this on a regular basis, to take your questions, to share some of our perspectives on leadership and some of the unique challenges that we're all facing. Thanks again for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And if you would like to follow me on social media, please go to my website, stevewhitespeaks.com. You can check out all my posts, all my blogs, but also I just announced that I'm launching and releasing a new book that will be coming out in February 2022. That's available for pre-order. I hope you will go to the website and start following me. Thanks again for joining Leadership Live with Steve White.